This is Coach87, and I'll be showing off how to install Fedora Linux on your computer. Linux doesn't have a single version or look and feel, unlike with Windows and Mac. Instead, Linux has distributions, or distros for short. The main ones are Ubuntu/Debian, here in Debian, Arch, and Fedora. For this video, I'll be focusing on Fedora since it is the distro I'm using right now for this video. First, start up the browser of your choosing and search Fedora Spin. On the Fedora Spins page, we'll see different versions of Fedora using different desktop environments, or DEs for short. To keep things simple, a DE offers a look and feel for a Linux distro. For example, GNOME sort of has more a Mac look and feel, while KDE has more of a Windows look and feel. While there are a lot of spins here, I want to point out two specific ones on this page. First is Fedora Cinnamon. If this one looks familiar, that is because that is the DE that most people start with for Linux Mint. Linux Mint is a pretty popular distro for Linux beginners. Like with KDE, Cinnamon has a look and feel similar to Windows. Maybe things changed since the last time I've used it on my main machine, but I found it to be a bit annoying for my multi-monitor setup. Next is Cosmic. This DE was made by System76, the creators of Pop! OS. Cosmic has more of a Mac look and feel, but it's not really my preferred DE. Now, let's click on the Fedora homepage. Here we have a couple of options, but we will focus on the first two here. Fedora Workstation is Fedora using the GNOME DE, while Fedora KDE Plasma Desktop is Fedora using the KDE DE. For this video, we'll be using the second option. Click on the download link. Most users will use the x86_64 option. Click here. And then click Save here for now. Now our Fedora ISO is downloading. Now it's done downloading. Let's navigate to the Downloads folder. This is the ISO file we've downloaded. Now we'll need to make a bootable USB flash drive with this file. To do that, I'll be using something called Balena Etcher. This software is available on Windows, Mac, and Linux. You can click on the Download Etcher button or scroll down to where it says Download Etcher. Here you have a few options. Use this option if you are on Windows, and here if you are using an Intel-based Mac, or here if you are using an ARM-based Mac, M1, M2, M3, and 4. Use this option if you are using a 32-bit Linux OS, or you just prefer app image files. Since I'm using a 64-bit Linux OS, I will be using this option. Now it's downloading the 64-bit Linux build of Balena Etcher. It's now done downloading. Extract the zip file. Then I'll double click on the Balena Etcher file. Next, I'll plug in my flash drive to start adding the Fedora ISO on it. Now, let's click on the Flash from File button. We want to select the Fedora ISO file we've downloaded. Then, we want to click on the Select Target button. Here, we need to be careful on which drive we select. Since I have a couple of external hard drives, I don't want to select those to make a bootable drive for Fedora. Instead, we want to select the flash drive. In my case, it will be the one called Nobara 43. When you are done, click on the blue Select button. Now click on the flash button to start the process. If you get this pop-up, just type in your password. This may take a while. Sweet! It's finished. As you can see, the flash drive is now a bootable drive for installing Fedora. First, plug in your flash drive into your computer. Then, reboot your computer. After that, you may need to enter the BIOS setup screen to turn off Secure Boot. For my motherboard, it's the delete key. I recommend checking out this article on how to turn off Secure Boot. All links will be in the description below. If you already turned off Secure Boot, then you want to access the boot menu. For me, it's the F12 key. You want to select the flash drive with the Fedora installation on it. For me, it will be this guy here. For demonstration purposes, I'll be using a virtual machine, VM for short, for demoing the installation of Fedora. When you boot into your bootable flash drive, you'll get this Grub menu. You can select the second or third option, but I'll just select the first option. This is the live environment for Fedora. Unlike with Windows, most Linux distros give you the option to try out Linux before installing it. Anyway, this is the welcome screen for KDE. I would recommend going through it at least once. When you are ready, click the next button. Then we'll click the next button for a couple of more times. This explains how a Linux user can install apps on Fedora KDE. We'll go over this briefly later in the video. You'll want to enable third-party repositories, repos for short, here, especially if you are using an NVIDIA video card. We'll cover more about dealing with NVIDIA video cards later in the video. This is me just trying out Firefox in the live environment. Now, let's install Fedora. Here's where you will choose your language and default keyboard style. This should be self-explanatory. You can set the date and time here. Here's where we decide what storage drive, HDDs and SSDs, we want Fedora to be installed on. Click on the Change Destination link. Currently, for this VM, I have 2 storage drives. I'll be using the first one to install Fedora on. I'll get around to using the second drive later in the video. If the drive I chose had another partition, I could have chose to install Fedora side by side with that other partition. It's often recommended not to install a Linux partition on the same drive as a Windows partition. For now, I'll use the entire disk for this installation. You can choose to encrypt your data if you want, but for this video, I won't do that. Like with Windows, you'll need to create an account for logging into your computer. Unlike with Windows, you won't need an email to make this account on Linux, as it's just a local account. I'll type in my username and password. After that, click on this button to install Fedora. It's done installing Fedora. When you are ready, restart/shut down your computer. Here's the login screen for Fedora KDE. This is the Welcome Center. Like in the live environment, this is to help new users get used to using KDE. Yes, we want to enable third-party repos here as well, especially if you are using an NVIDIA video card. Before we do anything else, let's start up the Discover app. It looks like a blue shopping cart. This app will allow us to download popular programs for Fedora and get updates for it. As you can see, we got a fair number of updates download. Sometimes it can take a while to download these updates. To apply the updates, you'll need to restart your computer. Great, Fedora has been updated. Now, let's take a look at the settings here. Currently, the resolution is a bit off. Let's try fixing it. Select Play and Monitor. Here we can change the resolution, the window scale, display orientation, handy for vertical monitors, and the brightness. For now, I just want to change the resolution to 1920 by 1080, 1080p. Much better. Before we continue, I forgot to mention about the blue F button on the taskbar. This button is called the Application Launcher. It's the KDE equivalent to Windows' Start button. It even behaves pretty similar to Windows' Start menu. This is what I mean when I say DEs have a look and feel. Let's start up the Info Center app, since it's a good way to see your system specs. I usually start my videos with this app already open. You can also pin apps to the panel, the Linux version of a taskbar. If you are using an NVIDIA video card, you want to pay attention to this next part. Remember when we enabled those third-party repos? That was the first step we needed to take to add support for NVIDIA graphics cards on Fedora. Then you want to open up the console and then type in the command above. This same command will be in the description. Just type Y when prompted. After that, restart your system and you should be good to go. You'll be able to tell if the NVIDIA driver has been installed by checking the application launcher. With that said, some games like Star Ocean, The Divine Force just play better on an AMD card over an NVIDIA one on Linux. If using the console is a bit too cumbersome, you can also try out Ultramarine Linux. It's essentially Fedora with the NVIDIA drivers pre-included. Do note that Ultramarine Linux gets updates at a slower rate than Fedora does. Now let's try adding a drive to Fedora. First, we want to open up Dolphin. It's the KDE version of Windows File Explorer. Then we want to open up KDE Partition Manager. You'll notice on the left side that there are some selectable drives. We'll ignore the ZRAM 0. The first drive is about 60 gigabytes in size. This drive is the one that Fedora is installed on. The second drive is about 20 gigabytes in size. We want to add that drive to Fedora. Let's select that drive. As we can see, there are no partitions for this drive. We need to make a new partition. Selecting the GPT option should work just fine. Now we need to format the partition. Right-click on the empty partition and select New. You can set this partition to use several different file system types, including exFAT. Since this partition will only be used on Linux, it's best to go with BTRFS or ext4. I prefer to give my partitions a label. Next, right-click on the partition and select Properties. I generally prefer to also give my partition a name. Before we are able to mount the drive, we want to create a directory for the drive. Unlike with Windows, Linux doesn't use drive letters. Instead, drives are mounted to a folder directory. If you wanted to, you could mount an extra drive to the music folder. For this video, I'll be showing off how I prefer to mount my additional drives. I'll be mounting the 20 gigabyte drives partition inside the MNT folder. To do that, I'll need to navigate to the MNT directory. Since this directory requires root access to modify it, we'll need to open this directory as an administrator. Needless to say, you should be very careful doing this. Here, I'll type in my password. Next, I'll create a new folder to hold a bunch of other drives. Then, I'll right-click on the new folder and select Properties. Click on the Permissions tab, and for the Others row, I'll set the drop-down to Can View and Modify Content. I want to make sure to click on this checkbox here for the subfolders. Then I want to create another folder. This will be the folder that will contain our new partition. Now I want to copy the folder's location. Back on the KDE Partition Manager, right-click on the partition and select Edit Mount Point. For the path, paste in the location of the folder we've created a few moments ago. Then we want to click on the More button. Here, we want to type in the following above. The above will allow us to run executables such as app image files and games on this drive. Click the OK buttons. Now right-click on the same partition and select Mount. You should be able to access the drive now via Dolphin. Now let's make some changes to Fedora. First, I'll change up my session settings. As you can see here, KDE will default to restoring my last session with opening back up all of the programs I had open in my previous session. I generally prefer to turn this off. This is where you can set the default locations for commonly used folders for your profile. Here's where you can add and change users on Linux. I'm not a big fan of this profile pic for my profile. I'll change it to something more familiar. So much better. For those wondering, Blue Blob is the slime form of Rimuru Tempest from the anime. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. You can also customize Dolphin to your heart's content. It will be easier to show what I'm doing rather than explain it in detail. Now let's change that wallpaper. I got a few pictures in the pictures folder. All I have to do is choose a pic that I like, right click on it, and select set as wallpaper. It's such a shame that the Blu-ray for Sekiro is out of print. Anyway, let's try installing a program. Start up the Discover app and type in the name of the program you want to download. First, I'll download Flatseal. It's a program that makes managing Flatpaks much easier. Due to the nature of Flatpaks, you'll need to give those types of programs the ability to see files and folders outside of the home directory. This is very important for when you want to use the Flatpak version of Steam or the Heroic Games Launcher. Now I'll copy the location of the folder inside of the MNT directory. It looks like I need to have at least one other Flatpak program installed in order to use Flatseal. I'll try the Flatpak version of Krita. That's the program I use for designing my thumbnails. Now, I'll copy one of my pictures into my mounted partition. That's unexpected. The Flatpak version of Krita was able to access that directory just fine. Now, let's try installing Steam. Back on Flatseal, click on a Flatpak you want to edit. Under the Other Files section, add any folder paths you want your Flatpak program to see. Now I'll briefly demo some common apps that I use on Linux. First, there's KWrite. Think of this as the KDE version of Windows Notepad. Then there's Kate. It's pretty similar to Notepad++. Notepad++ is not available on Linux. LibreOffice is a good replacement for Microsoft Office. It's free and available on multiple platforms. VLC is a cool multimedia player. I use this to check my video footage before editing my videos. If you care about streaming your music, Spotify is available on Linux. GNU Image Manipulation Program, or GIMP, is pretty self-explanatory. Kdenlive is the video editor that I use for making most of my videos. That should cover most of the basics for using Fedora. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to find out when I release a new video. Later.